I should really get my own intro.
Hi there, and thank you so much for watching my video. Today, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on Edward's thoughts on the Kyla situation, as his video was titled. First off, I'm going to start the video by saying this whole thing is ridiculous. If you look at Kyla and your argument is that she doesn't fit the ideal of a K-pop beauty or whatever, then, how? Truly, she's not even thick, she's not even overweight, she is fine. But I guess this is coming from somebody who listens to a lot of YG, and they see people like Lee Hi, they see people like Octong Musician, they see Minzy, miss you girl, and they do not have that ideal girls' generation body image that all the record label executives think that everyone wants to see in K-pop. And you know what? They're accepted and they're loved. So this girl does not need to change. It is the K-pop industry as a whole that is messed up. So they are what needs to change, not Kyla. She is doing what she needs to do. She is showing up to work. She is working hard. She is working harder than 99% of the 15-year-olds out there. And so that's all she needs to do. Show up, work hard, try her best, focus on being a great dancer, a great singer, etc. And anything else should fall by the wayside, and she should be praised for her hard work and not ridiculed because her body is healthy and strong. With that said, I'm going to take a moment to defend Edward here, because a lot of people are blowing it way out of proportion. Was his message muddled? Yes. Did he contradict himself a lot? Yes. Do I agree with his thoughts? No, not completely. There were some valid points in there, but it was overshadowed by his delivery. Do people make mistakes? Yes. Do people sometimes not get across the message that they mean up here with their words? Yes. And that may be the situation here. So for people to get mad at him for dehumanizing Kyla and then turn around and dehumanize him and say, oh, he's the worst, I've never liked him, he's never done anything good in his life, he should just destroy his YouTube channel, he should just close his account, he should just light himself on fire. Those things weren't exactly said, but they're pretty close. That in turn is dehumanizing him, and that is also wrong. People make mistakes. People sometimes do not communicate effectively. And that might be the case in this situation. And also, not all situations are black and white. His messaging was confusing. It was contradictory. Because that's how most of the world is. The world is full of contradictions. And I agree with him that just because he is not part of the group that he's talking about, as in he is not a 15-year-old girl, doesn't mean that his thoughts shouldn't be heard. Now, just because his thoughts should be heard doesn't mean that they should be heard and then accepted and loved and praised. I think a lot of his thoughts were misguided and spoken out of ignorance. But I think if we shut people off who are not part of the group, who do not have the same opinion as you, then that hinders you from getting to the actual solution. I think from what we saw from Edward's video is that his opinions are a lot in the line of probably what a lot of these male record executives' opinions are going to be. So his video points out the problem with everything, and I think by seeing the problem, hearing the problem, it helps us to recognize, no, that's not what we want, and here's the actual solution of what we want. So there's my halfway defense of Edward. So put that aside. One of the examples that he used was comparing Kyla to, I don't even remember his name, but some guy idol, and saying, well, look at him. He lost the weight. He worked hard. Why can't Kyla do the same thing? And that, out of anything, is probably what rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not going to sit here and say that I know everything about women's health or women's bodies or how they work or anything like that, but I will say just that. I don't know everything. I don't know much even. When it comes to guys, it's just like, guy is fat, guy works out, guy slims down, guy bulks up. End of story. And with girls, I know there's a whole bunch of lady problems that factor into it and might be the reason why her body is the way that it is or whatever. And I think that's really all anyone in any marginalized group wants, is for that person that's not in that marginalized group to recognize that they do not know everything and to walk through life knowing that they do not know everything, and just to be open to hearing the thoughts of that marginalized group and realizing that they are the authority on the issue because it affects them directly. And once again, it is perfectly valid for people not in that group to still have questions, to still have thoughts about the certain issue that doesn't directly affect them, but they need to understand that it doesn't directly affect them. They're not going to know everything about the issue because the issue is not about them and does not affect them. And what's funny is that I think one of the biggest issues of Edward's video is that he was gaslighting his audience the entire video. He's basically putting up this wall saying you're ridiculous if you don't agree with him because you're just being some, little snowflake who gets offended by everything and blows everything out of proportion. And while yes, there is a group of people that do that, and that is the people that he's directly speaking to, I think he took it a step too far and made it seem like his entire audience, anyone who has a discerning opinion from him, is going to be a little sensitive snowflake. So what's funny about that is that I think even more so than his opinions on everything, it was him gaslighting and devaluing people's opinions on what he was going to say is what made people more upset than anything else. What he said probably wasn't that bad, but I'm just saying from his position, both like on YouTube and the K-pop community, in society as a whole, and then him saying these things, that's the biggest issue. One of the things that he said, and maybe he was just making an assumption or making, trying to come up with an idea of what even it could be, was that she was stress eating. Well, you know what? Maybe she's not. The girl's gotta be working out all the time. She probably has a pretty good diet. Sometimes with girls, with women, they can work out again and again, over and over again, work out so much, and the pounds just don't shed off. This is a common thing that happens. This is not unusual. This is not abnormal at all. And so when people say she's still developing, what they're saying is not that she's reached her height, that she's reached what her full body is, but just sometimes weight works like that. She may get thinner, she may not, it doesn't really matter. And it's really unfortunate that she has to hear this, because all the male executives at her record label are probably all saying the same thing, they're all thinking the same thing, they all think that her weight is such a problem, and it's really, really sad. Edward did kind of say that the record label, they should have been more responsible with this. Then yeah, maybe they should have pulled her back and they should have waited and they should have seen what was gonna happen and they should have put her out there when they thought that she was ready, if she was not ready. But you know who should decide if they're ready? Kyla herself. Maybe they prepared all of them for the harsh scrutiny that they were gonna face from being idols. Maybe they already knew this going into it. We do not know that. His thoughts on it very much come from the same perspective as those male executives, saying that, okay, yes, it's not fair that she's treated as a commodity, but given the industry the way that it is, she is a commodity, and because she is a commodity, and she knows this going into it, and she knows that this is a job, she should show up and perform to the standards of the job. But I think what he fails to recognize is that having a different body shape is not the same thing as not wearing a uniform. Like if my work said that I have to wear all black, long sleeve shirts, black pants, dress shoes, whatever, like I work at Olive Garden, then that's one thing. But if I gain 5 pounds from eating all that delicious unlimited pasta and breadsticks, they're not gonna be like, oh, you're in trouble now, you're fired. Kyla's not showing up to work in something inappropriate. She's wearing what she needs to wear, she's getting her hair done, she's doing everything that she needs to be doing. But she doesn't 100% fit the body mold that is expected of her from the record executives. Okay, how is that her problem? That's the record label's problem. And so I think what we can take from all of this is that if the record executives are saying this is a problem because they're thinking about the money of it all, they're thinking that the consumer is not going to invest in the group if they have girls who do not fit that body image, then we need to, as consumers, let them know with our money, with our dollar bills, with our support, that no, you are wrong. Actually, we are much more open to different body images. So when these situations come along, we support Kyla. We don't say, oh, you don't fit the mold. It would be easier for you if you did fit the mold. Obviously, it would be easier if she fit the mold. Obviously, we wouldn't even be talking about this if she looked just like everyone else. But to say your life would be easier if you were skinnier, so just be skinnier, that's not the answer. For us, the answer is support her with our money so that the executives will see, oh, what we thought was an issue is not an issue. If anything, it's on the contrary. Showing more diversity in our groups actually is beneficial for us money-wise, so we're gonna keep doing it, we're gonna allow it. That's how they think, and that's the only way that we're gonna be able to get through to them. And that's not to say if a group only has people who fit the body image, that we can't support them, that we can't love and treasure them, and all of that. But just as they are being overly conscious with everything, we also need to be conscious with our support. In these situations, I think people maybe wanna elevate Kyla and put her on this pedestal and say, oh, look at her, she is so brave for getting out there and dancing even though she's fat or whatever. Because that's the thing, she's not thick, there's not even a problem. And then to other her and say, make her the example of, oh, here's someone who is different than you. Society might not like her and she's different from everyone, but look at her being so brave. I don't think that sends the right message either. It should just be a non-factor, a non-issue. She should just be treated like everyone else. She shouldn't be elevated to be this shining example of thick girls everywhere, and she shouldn't be ridiculed for being different. She should just exist. She should just go and do her job, and her job shouldn't be to fit the body mold. The job should be to be a great singer, to be a great dancer, to be a good person, etc. The whole thing is ridiculous. So what are the lessons that we take from today's video? I think we all need to be more conscious of how we react to things. Did Edward make a perfect video? No, he didn't. Were his opinions a little misguided? Yes. Do we need to dehumanize him by treating him like he's supposed to be this perfect human and say all the right things all the time, and that now, because he didn't, he needs to just throw everything away and just go die? No, we don't need to do that. Back off a little bit from Edward. He does not deserve that. It's still great that he made that video. It shows us a different perspective on things, and it lets us know, whether good or bad, what people are thinking about it, and from that we can create a more well-rounded, fully realized solution to the problem. The other thing, the K-pop industry is screwed up. What can you do about it? Spend your money more wisely. And what can Kyla do at this point? Nothing. She shouldn't have to do anything because she didn't do anything wrong. Okay, that was my video. I put it all out there, gave you all my thoughts on this whole thing. So now I want to hear from you. Put in the comments, did I miss the mark? Is there anything I left out? Is there something else that we need to talk about? Write about it in the comments and we will discuss. I post my commentary on K-pop and also reaction videos to the newest music videos all the time. So if that's something you're into, please subscribe. It would mean the world to me. And until next time, bye!